Today's YouTube video, what happens when you go under contract? Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, a mountain of paperwork, and enough legalese to make your head spin. And yet some real estate agents just email over the contract like a sign here, don't ask questions. Even experienced buyers and sellers get tripped up, and if you're from out of state, Texas real estate contracts are different than what you're used to. That's why today we're breaking down what actually happens when you go under contract, what you're agreeing to, and what all that fine print really means. Let's dive in. Parties to the contract. This is the easy part, the buyers and seller. Just make sure the details are correct. Property details. This section describes the property being purchased. Most people use a mailing address, but the legal description is what officially counts. Why does this matter? Because the street names and numbers can change, especially if your city gets creative with urban planning, but a legal description is tied to a precise survey of your property, like what piece of land you're buying on planet Earth. This ensures that when you buy that dream home, you're not actually purchasing half your neighbor's driveway by mistake, or worse, the lot next door. Then we get into improvements and accessories. Basically what stays with the house. The HVAC stays. The bushes stay. The chandelier the seller suddenly realizes is an heirloom from their great aunt. That depends. If it's excluded in the contract, they can take it. Sales price. Easy enough. It lays out how much you're paying and whether it's cash, financing, or a mix of both. Key point. Even if a buyer's pre-approved, financing can still fall apart. A smart buyer's agent stays on top of things, while a good listing agent calls a lender up front to make sure the buyer isn't just financially hopeful, but actually qualified. Leases. Not every home is sold vacant. This deals with tenants. Is there one living in the home you're buying? Surprise! You might become a landlord. Equipment leases. Some things like solar panels or water softeners might not be paid off yet, meaning the buyer could inherit a monthly bill. It's worth checking before you move in and wonder why you're suddenly financing someone else's eco-friendly dream. The buyer's skin in the game, aka earnest money. Earnest money is like putting a ring on it, the buyer's financial way of saying, I'm serious about this house. Typically 1% of the purchase price, negotiable. It goes to the title company within 3 business days after going under contract. What if it's late? The seller can back out. It's like a game show. Will the buyer send the money in time, or will the seller hit the ejection button first? There are 44 ways for a buyer to get their earnest money refunded, but only 2 ways for a seller to back out. Why? Because real estate is expensive and no one wants to get stuck with a bad deal. Imagine discovering after closing that your dream home comes with a $50,000 repair bill, or the house actually belongs to seller's ex-wife and she wants it back. Fun times, right? The option fee. Buyers get out of jail free card. Not every state has this. The option fee, about $10 per day for 7 to 10 days, negotiable, gives the buyer the right to cancel for any reason during the option period. The shorter the period and the higher the fee, the more serious the buyer looks to the seller. For buyers, this is your time to get an inspection done and find out if the house is a dream home or a money pit. After the inspection, you can negotiate repairs or credits if the seller agrees. Better to ask for a credit so you can hire your own contractor. Walk away if the issue is scary enough, or accept it as is if the seller isn't budging. Sellers, be ready to negotiate. Most buyers will ask for something, but don't worry, your agent will assist with negotiations, and a half-decent buyer agent will prevent that buyer from asking for any little thing on the report. If you say no to repairs, be prepared for a price reduction request instead. Seller, beware, if the buyer backs out, you'll have to disclose any found issues to future buyers. Title. Who actually owns this house? The title company ensures that when you buy the home, no long-lost relatives, ex-spouses, or unpaid debts actually pop up calling dibs on the property. While negotiable, typically the seller pays for the title policy. Why? The seller typically pays for transfer of ownership. The buyer typically pays for everything involved with securing their loan on the property, and it's not cheap. Title checks for liens, unpaid debts secured by the house, ownership disputes, HOA fees that mysteriously never got paid, or taxes, and they also issue a title insurance policy, which is definitely something you want. Imagine buying your dream home only for the IRS to come knocking. No thanks. The survey. Let's map it out. The survey shows property lines, so you know where your lawn ends and where your neighbor's gnome army begins. Easements, like shared driveways or for the utility company. Encroachments, polite way of saying, oops, Bob the neighbor's fence is actually in your yard. If major improvements have been made, like a pool or an addition, you'll probably need a new survey. If not, the seller's old one can work, if they can find it. Special notices and deal breakers. Restrictions. Want to run a daycare, an Airbnb, park an RV, keep a pet pig? You want to check if it's allowed first, and if it's a deal breaker, you want an out for yourself written into the contract. HOA rules. If the house is in an HOA, you must pay them. Ignore them too long, they can foreclose on your home. Utilities. If the property is in a special utility or public improvement district, that means extra fees for water, sewer, or drainage. Texas law requires the seller to disclose any extra taxes or fees, and there's more paperwork. For waterfront property, tidewaters, we're not in the Gulf, no worries there. Water level fluctuations. If you're buying property on the edge of Canyon Lake, your lakefront land will fluctuate based on how high the lake is. Seems like common sense. Mold. If the home has mold and was professionally treated, the seller has to disclose it. Property conditions. Seller lets buyer and their inspector poke around during reasonable hours, so no surprise midnight visits. Seller will keep the utilities running. Can't check for plumbing leaks if the water's off. Seller disclosure notice. It's required with few exceptions. If not provided, the buyer can back out at any time. Lead paint. If the house was built before 1978, there's a form for it. As is provided the seller completes certain repairs and treatments. This one confuses a lot of people. In this case, as is means you're not requiring the seller to do something as a condition of going under contract. The buyer can still inspect and negotiate or back out if something's shady. Lender required repairs. Neither party has to pay for it. Everything's negotiable. The whole contract's negotiable. Completion of repairs. Unless, in writing otherwise, the seller has to finish it by closing, show proof, and hand over warranties, and no do-it-yourself fix is allowed. Environmental matters. Are there wetlands or endangered animals on the property? Not too common in the suburbs. Residential service contracts. This just means the optional home warranty. It confuses people too. Homeowner insurance covers big things the lender actually cares about, like if the house burns down, or hail damages the roof so bad water starts leaking in and ruining everything else. The home warranty covers things the lender doesn't care about, like a broken dishwasher. Broker and sales agent disclosure. Is the buyer, seller, an agent or related to their agent? Closing. It's official. Now, first, when is a closing date? It's when everything becomes official, but here's the kicker. The buyer can't actually move in until the seller's money's sent. Want to close on a Friday afternoon? Bad idea. If your funds don't transfer in time, you might not be moving in until Monday. Is the seller staying a few extra days? If so, you'll need a leaseback agreement, or just hope they don't overstay their welcome. Also, don't forget about smart home devices. The seller needs to disconnect their accounts, otherwise they could still spy on their old Ring doorbell. Creepy, right? Special provisions. Anything weird and convoluted that can't be explained with a multitude of forms provided. Expenses. Seller's expenses. They're not off the hook yet. Paying off those liens on the property, prepayment penalties, loan stuff, deed prep, their half of title fees, the brokerage fees they agreed to, and these next two are negotiable. Credit to the buyer or the buyer's brokerage fee. Buyers. Brace yourself, it's a whole list. Buyers have the down payment, appraisals, loan fees, credit checks, loan docs, interest, according fees, title policies, inspections, escrow fees, insurance premiums, taxes, VA funding fees, and more. Brokerage fees the buyer agreed to. So that's why the buyers are asking for help. Prorations. If it's paid at the end of the year in Texas, like property taxes, the seller gives the buyer a credit for the part of the year they own the home, January 1st to closing. If it's paid at the beginning of the year or quarter, like HOA fees, the buyer gives the seller a credit for the part of the time they'll own the home. Sellers, you'll get a check after closing for any unused homeowner insurance or escrow fees. If something goes wrong, if the house catches on fire or meets some other tragic fate after the contract's in effect, the seller has to fix up and make it look like it did before, ideally by closing. If they don't, and it's not their fault, the buyer can bail and get their earnest money back. Give the seller an extra 15 days to fix it and extend the closing date, or take it as is, if insurance allows it, with a discount equal to the seller's insurance deductible at closing. The seller still has to do their thing under this contract, no excuses. Default. If the buyer drops the ball, they're in default, and the seller gets to demand performance, meaning force them to buy the house, take legal action, or both. Call it quits, keep the earnest money as liquidated damages, and break up with the buyer. If the seller messes up, they're in default, and the buyer gets to demand performance, meaning force them to sell the house, take legal action, or both, break up and get their earnest money back and find a new house. Mediation. Texas prefers if you work things out over friendly chat rather than suing each other. One last thing, the appraisal. If you're getting a loan, the bank will order an appraisal. Why? Because they're the ones fronting most of the cash, and they want to make sure the home is actually worth what they're loaning on it. Why? If they have to foreclose on the house, they're stuck reselling it. They want to make sure they don't lose money. The appraisal comes in low, the buyers should make up the difference or negotiate with the seller, or the deal falls apart. If it comes in at value, great. If it comes in too high, well, congrats buyers, you got a deal. Sellers, you won't even know if it comes in higher than purchase price. The buyer pays for the appraisal, it's considered confidential. Even the agents involved only find out if it appraised or not. Even title doesn't have a copy of the appraised value or receive a copy of it. Pick a good agent that'll make sure you don't leave money on the table. Note, the tax appraised value is not accurate. Every day, I see sellers that are paying way too much in property taxes, like way over market value. Protest your taxes. Final thoughts why this matters. Real estate contracts are legally binding, and tiny details can make a big difference. Understanding the terms means you protect your investment, you avoid costly surprises, and just kind of avoids the stress of the unknown and all that. So next time an agent just emails over a contract without explanation, watch this video. You're welcome. Kim Herrera, and as always, open a new door in life.